Tesla crashes. This was the headline from a link that my good friend in Texas sent me over the weekend. A Facebook group called Conservative News Today posted an article from a website called the Federalist Papers Project about Tesla. And because I'm a Tesla enthusiast, love following Tesla, I was really curious about what happened with Tesla. Did they crash? Did the company go away and I just didn't know about it? So I clicked on the link. And here's what it read. Tesla, period, has, period, crashed, period. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty serious, right? Like the company just, poof, went away? Let's continue on with this article, but because I think it's going to be a good basis for this video. And no, I'm not talking about an autonomous vehicle hitting a wall or driving off a bridge. Instead, Tesla's stock has taken a nosedive and crashed. Hopefully their stocks have an airbag to cushion the blow. Okay, let's continue on reading. They show a picture, a screenshot of Tesla's stock and a 7% drop on November 2nd. Now, let's keep in mind that this was right after their quarterly earnings release. Yikes, that's reminiscent of a texting while driving in rush hour crash. According to the Register, Tesla's share price took a dive Thursday morning as Republicans in Congress revealed they were planning to kill off a U.S. federal tax credit for electric vehicles. The proposed House tax bill calls for an immediate repeal of the $7,500 per vehicle credit, something that would have an immediate knock-on impact for Tesla given that it only produces electric cars. Its share price fell more than 7% to about $296 apiece from Wednesday's $321. The draft law emerged as the Elon Musk-led automaker announced its worst ever quarter, recording a $267 million loss, admitting it had not met its production target for its new Model 3 car, producing just 220 of them against its 1,500 target. The potential removal of these federal tax cuts has a significant influence on consumers. Okay, let's just stop there because this article from the Register mentioned a few important things. Yes, Tesla buyers take advantage of this $7,500 tax credit in the US. Yes, the stock dropped from $321 to $296. And while that seems a lot in a small snapshot, really is not that unusual for a tech company who's reinvesting profits into capital expenditures and future growth. This article also talked about a $671 million loss and only producing 220 Model 3 cars. These things may be true, but this article, or the quote from that this Federalist Papers took from this article, failed to mention that it was Tesla's best ever quarter, that Tesla had a 30+% growth year over year from last year's Q3, and that Model 3 actually has almost 500,000 pre-orders for their car, people who are ready to buy this car and who have put down $1,000. But the poo-pooing on electric vehicles does not stop there. Let me read you some of the ludicrous and uninformed comments on Conservative News Today. Now, if the headline Tesla crashes is not sensational enough for you, let's take a look at Conservative News Today's post about this article. They say the biggest electric car manufacturer in the US just got blindsided. So let's take a look at some of these comments to see exactly what they're talking about. First up, we've got Armando, who says, "Love it. Sick of subsidizing rich folks buying a toxic car. Battery is more toxic than supposed greenhouse gases. LOL. Bye-bye. And no Teslas are made here. We subsidize a company that does nothing for us. Now let's see how many they will sell. Called Free Market. Bye-bye crony capitalism. And we have Bob. This company has never made one nickel in profit since it was founded. Great business model. When a company depends so heavily on US government tax code, it isn't a real company. Better luck with SpaceX. About time the feds quit subsidizing electric cars for the rich. Let it go bankrupt, then Ford or GM can buy it for pennies and put the technologies to use. Keith, take the tax dollars out. It would have crashed long ago. David, car was never affordable. Beth, more government waste of our money. And Dick, he's nothing but a con man. What are my thoughts? My thoughts are this is a sensational article at best and incredibly misleading. And a lot of people would actually say that this article is clickbait. The story does not give a large enough picture of what the company is doing and capitalizes on a small snapshot of how the stock responded last week. Unfortunately, many people, much like the comments you just saw, will only read the headline and take it as gospel, instead of really trying to understand the micro and macro influences on Tesla. And there's a lot of them, by the way. The fluctuation in the company's stock is so much more than a measly $7,500 tax credit. And by the way, $7,500 on a $100,000 car is 7.5%. That's really not a great discount. Imagine if you were to go into a store and they were to be advertising 7.5% off a $100,000 leather jacket. I don't know. That's probably a really expensive leather jacket. Hopefully someone famous wore it. And I think that if you look at the company's stock valuation, you'll see periodic drops. And that's pretty typical of any company based on current news, economic performance of the company. But when you scale out, the stock actually has gone from around $20 a share to $301 the last time I checked. I'd also like to add that just because a company's stock suddenly drops, it doesn't mean that the company is in a bad financial position or there's no demand for their product. In fact, if you look at the sales of their current production cars, the S and the X, they actually had the best quarter in company history, which that article fails to bring up, with a 31% increase year over year. So great for Tesla. I've seen a few comments, and a lot of these comments in this Facebook post, they actually express their pleasure for Tesla, quote unquote, crashing, that they've never been profitable and that they shouldn't have been using taxpayer dollars. I'd like to remind every single person who's watching this video that Tesla is a true American success story. They're an American company. They're creating products in America, in California for that matter, one of the most expensive states in the country. And they're creating American jobs, best of all. I suspect that even if this $7,500 tax credit goes away, demand will still grow significantly for their electric vehicles. Now, the Model 3 may take a hit initially because of perception. I think, though, that if you consider the average price of a vehicle, the average purchase price of a vehicle here in the U.S. at $34,968, let's just round it up to $35,000, and the fact that electric vehicles have virtually zero maintenance cost, my prediction is going to be that Tesla is going to be just fine, especially when you factor in that Tesla has nearly 500,000 pre-orders for the Model 3, starting out at, you guessed it, $35,000. Now, regarding Tesla using taxpayers' money, I had a hard time reading some of these comments because I really didn't know where they were pulling this information from. I saw even one person say that Tesla was taking advantage of billions of dollars. That's just not true. I'm not entirely certain most people know exactly what Tesla is getting from the government. Now, for a little bit of a history on Tesla, Tesla received a loan from the Department of Energy back in 2010 for $465 million. Think about it like a student loan. The federal government helps a lot of us go to school when we don't have a lot of cash on hand. So think about it like a student loan. Tesla actually paid back that Department of Energy loan 10 years early and with interest. So the American people actually made money on this loan, just like the Department of Education does on student loans. So for those that are complaining that Tesla is using taxpayer dollars, Tesla actually paid that money back and the government made money, aka taxpayers made a profit on that loan. Furthermore, people who purchase Tesla's electric vehicles, in addition to Ford and GM and Chrysler and all the others that produce an energy efficient or alternative fuel car, are eligible for the $7,500 tax credit that I mentioned. And people who purchase these alternative fuel vehicles can claim that as a tax credit on their return and reduces their tax liability. This tax credit allows for more money in taxpayers' pocket because what happens? You pay less taxes, which means you get to keep more money, which means you spend more money in the United States buying things, whatever it is, or investing into the stock, reinvesting into the stock market. A tax credit is not a blank check, though. It applies to only 200,000 vehicles per automaker, which Tesla will soon reach that limit here in 2018, most likely. But as I mentioned earlier, I expect for Tesla to do just fine without the tax credit. Global sales are strong and growing. And in fact, if you look at growth from 2012 to now, it is overwhelmingly up and to the right. Additionally, most Western European countries and throw China in there, have announced that they'll be outlawing the sales of gasoline-powered vehicles in the next few decades. So even if sales in the US completely stagnate, which won't happen, Tesla will be the dominant player in the auto industry because they are so far ahead of other automakers. A large part of why Tesla is not profitable is because of capital expenditures. In other words, they're reinvesting their 25% profit margin per vehicle on future growth into things like the Gigafactory in Nevada, into the Model 3 and the automation that will build the Model 3. Not being profitable may not be how some companies run, but that low profitability for many years is how most tech and software companies operate. Fast growth and low profitability. It's a very acceptable model, and especially if you're able to sell something, it's not a bad way to grow quickly. Scale quickly, and Tesla will have a massive opportunity to leapfrog most of these billion-dollar automakers like GM and Ford. Think about what Tesla is doing, like the transition from horse to locomotive. Could you imagine all the naysayers that said that locomotives were expensive and a waste of time, and that people should stick to horses, horse and carriage? I think that we're seeing another one of those technology shifts. So, to all those people who poo-poo Tesla in that conservative news post, just wait and see, because I think you're going to start hearing a lot more from Tesla. And if they can get the Model 3 off the ground, there's no stopping them. So in summary, I guess my thoughts on all of these people who were so hard on Tesla in this Facebook post really don't know much about what Tesla's doing. And I'm going to give them credit and just say that they're ignorant of what's happening with Tesla. And they believe that the government shouldn't be involved with funding private companies. But in reality, the government's really not funding a lot of Tesla because their product is such a premium product right now, and their profit margins on their S and their X are 25%, and the Model 3 likely to be the same. The government's not really funding Tesla. And Tesla's going to do just fine if this $7,500 tax credit goes away. Yes, they did take out or apply for a loan and receive a loan from the Department of Energy for $465 million. They paid it back. And not only did they pay it back with interest, and they paid it back early. So what's the problem? You've got an innovative company who's starting in a new industry, who is taking advantage of every possible avenue to get their company off the ground. Now, as a business owner myself, I'm going to do everything that is legal to make sure that my company is successful, regardless of someone's opinion of whether they think the government should be involved in helping me or not. And Tesla is exactly the same way. The reason why Tesla products have been so expensive and why people think that the government is funding rich people toys is because it's a brand new technology. Does anyone remember those big brick phones that came out? Or computers when they first came out? Or, oh, even an even better one, those massive flat screen TVs? Those are for rich people as well. And you know what? Rich people financed the development of technology. And now, what do you see? You see TVs for under $1,000. You see phones for, you can get a phone for free, a smartphone for free if you want to. And I think it's going to be the same for electric vehicles as well. Could Tesla have survived without some of this government money, this taxpayer money? Probably, but they wouldn't be as far along as they are. Now, I think they've got enough momentum to be successful. And now you see almost every car maker, or the majority of car makers, especially the ones in Europe, and very many in China, benefiting from Tesla's success. And every headline that you hear of a car company that's coming out with an electric car, what does it say? It says, the Tesla killer, the next Tesla killer. So to all those who have made comments on this post on Conservative News Today, respectfully, you're wrong. And let's let the future play out here. Even if the $7,500 tax credit goes away, my prediction is Tesla will be one of the most, if not the most, valuable companies in the world. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. It's a longer one, but thanks for sticking in there with me. If you're not subscribed, please do that down below. And if you're in the market for a new or inventory S or X, my referral code is in the description. See you on the next video.